it would be a view which was constantly changing and constantly challenging. And we coined a phrase for it, which was look again, think again.
Yeah.
Look again, think again is how we articulate what Tate is about. And that's not something we invented. It's something that we came up as a result of many workshops and discussions with them.
What we were helping Tate to do is to take its place in the world. I don't mean just the art world, which it had to take its place in, but take its place in, you know, the real world, for real ordinary people every day.
One of the signs of the new naturalness was the branding people getting rid of the in front of Tate. To say it like that felt unnatural at first, and not everybody went for it.
I now declare the Tate Modern open.
It's a very theatrical moment, and in some ways a sort of dreamlike moment. And, the opening, the Queen launches the new thing. Were you thinking nothing at all? Were you thinking, oh my God, I hope something doesn't fall down? Or were you thinking, wow, yes, this is it?
I remember being amazed that she was here, because she's not known for her enthusiasm for modern art. Actually, she was astonishingly responsive to some of the things that she saw, whether it was the Rothko Room or Bridget Riley. It was a surreal moment. You know, we'd been working for 7 years to create this place, and suddenly there was calm, and it was calm before a storm, as we subsequently discovered, in terms of visitors crowding in on the place.
Newly trendified conceptual art and all its trendy buzzwords got introduced at the big opening party. A new sense of relaxed fun was so pervasive that it even affected me, and I forgot I was actually working.
We're in the Structures for Survival room.
I remember being at the opening of Tate Modern, and I went with Vivienne Westwood's husband, and Matt Collishaw went with Andreas and Matt, and we were all dressed up. And instead of getting just one glass of champagne, we just got 3 bottles of champagne. And we just went up and down in the lift, having a lift party with all this champagne, and we were really celebrating. And I remember someone coming along and saying, Miss Emin, an ashtray, and I said, oh, thanks, and took the ashtray and walked off with it, you know. And it really felt like something absolutely wonderful had happened to this country by having this fantastic contemporary art museum. And I want that same feeling every time I walk into that museum.
Contemporary art zaniness was now packaged and official. A wacky artist's whim to mix brass bands with acid house was adopted by the Tate's opening party in May 2000 as its official theme music.
Do you think this is a great advance for modern art in this country?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, it's going to be one of the great places in the world to visit. It's been fantastic for London and for Britain.
I met personally the opening of Tate Modern with a bit of a tear in my eye. You know, I remember being at the party to open it, and it did seem suddenly that it was okay to like contemporary art, not just Tate Modern, and that suddenly that Tate Modern itself became the focus of this kind of general feel-good factor, that it seemed to stand for a more open society or something, or a more egalitarian and a more cultured society.
It was almost like art for goodness.
Art for goodness, and we were perhaps becoming a bit like the French.
For me, the main symbol of Tate Modern opening was it trounced the Millennium Dome. The Tate Modern opened on time, on budget, I believe, and was immediately a huge success. And it was sort of like, yeah, you know, don't try to popularise culture, you know. We're doing it okay already, and look, you know, we're good at management as well.
So that was 10 years ago. This building sent out an unmistakable signal about contemporary art's new, valued position in mainstream culture. Tate Modern's monumental size reflected art's new confidence.
The building is amazingly striking for its size and its scale. What were your thoughts about scale when you started out?
We knew that we needed space in which to show the collection as it was then. We were showing a very, very small fraction of it at Millbank. And we knew that we couldn't afford to do it all in one go. We would have to have a number of phases. The turbine hall was always central to that conception, a great street into which you entered, and from there you would go into galleries. And it was a way of creating a transition between the city and the experience of being in a gallery.
"15 years ago, Tate Modern was a derelict power station filled with the old turbines that give the Great Hall its name. The decision to leave the turbine hall as one vast space has given Tate Modern a very particular look and feel, unique among modern art museums. Ralph Rugoff is director of the Hayward Gallery, another big public modern art space down the road from Tate Modern.
More than many people watching this programme, you're in a position to be able to imagine the kind of issues Nick Schroeter was facing when he was plotting out what he would be doing with this space. What's the single factor in the rise of the Tate?
There was a big vision behind it. And if Tate had opened in a typical museum building of a completely different scale from this, a well-behaved, decorous building, I don't think it would have been the success that it is. And it's the only space we have that size that's not some kind of mega shopping mall. The turbine hall also has the quality of being unfinished, of being open, and of being less formal than a typical...
It has an impression of unfinishedness. It's a big industrial space.
Yeah, and when you go in there, you feel you don't have to be on your best behavior. This is kind of rough. It feels casual, and I think this is really informs the way people look at art when they come here.
Scale at Tate Modern is both literal and symbolic. The place is big to get everything in, but also scale is a sign for authority, for confidence in the chancy and the new. And the artists who take on the annual Turbine Hall Commission elaborate that sign with their individual takes on the new. There have been 10 Turbine Hall installations over the years. Sometimes they were very simple. You slid down giant slides designed by Carsten Holler, and you watched others sliding too, and that was it. Sometimes they were very complicated. Juan Muñoz divided the space and added elevators. You couldn't ride in them, but you could imagine that the strange mannequin-like sculptures Muñoz installed at different levels were going up and down in them. Sometimes they were very bodily. There was a huge red sculpture by Anish Kapoor that looked like the innards of an animal stretched out. It spanned the full length of the turbine hall. And sometimes there was no body at all. A lot of sinister mumblings came out of the walls in an installation by Bruce Nauman. Another time there was an unsettling crack in the floor by Doris Salcedo. You could give your body a rest in Dominique Gonzalez Forster's exhibition. She kindly provided hundreds of coloured metal bunk beds to lie down on. And once again, the entire height of the hall was activated by Olafur Eliasson's giant setting sun. One of the British artists invited to transform the Turbine Hall space was Turner Prize winner Rachel Whiteread. A structured tumble of semi-opaque white casts of boxes made up her installation, Embankment. How did Whiteread feel when she got the message to come up with something?
I think once you've had the call about making a piece in here, it's one, very intimidating, two, very exciting, and three, it really is the most enormous challenge. You know, there's no other space that I know of, contemporary art space, that has a space as gargantuan as this, an interior space that's gargantuan as this. You know, it's like a big production.
Yeah. Over the last 10 years,